Good morning, everybody. Those of you that are fellow INFJs or like types, and sadly, those of us that are recovering from narcissistic abuse, because we've been targets of those that have cluster B personality disorders, sadly. Um, for those of you that are new, welcome to the channel. I never know who's new. I get new people every day, which is good. Please, if you're new, check out some of the older videos. I do make playlists, so it makes it easier to find something that might interest you. And if you've been here a while and you want to show appreciation, the links to my Cash App and Venmo are in the description and in the About section. And thank you to those of you that have sent gratuity. What I want to get into today is another narcissistic abuse topic that not many people are willing to speak about. It's going to be dark, it's going to be heavy. I'll try to lighten it up where I can, but it's something that has to be spoken about because it's something that even when it happens, like to somebody you know, most people aren't willing to talk about this. It's too touchy of a subject, and it's something that's enabled a lot, by the in crowd and those who defend the status quo and those that are all about like nepotism and cronyism and, well, that person's basically royalty, all that bullshit that I bitch about all the time, rightfully so. And what I'm talking about today is 13 signs you are having sex with a narcissist. So it's important to remember, I said it before, narcissists often come across extremely confident and they can be quite attractive in the beginning, but that's an act, that's a mask. They can't keep that up very long. And that'll manifest itself pretty soon, especially when you're alone with the narcissist. That's really how you judge somebody is, how do they act when it's just you two and nobody's paying attention? They're not on stage, kind of thing. Because, of course, narcissists see themselves as special and fantastic, and they want others to think that of themselves, too. Nobody can be as good as them. Unfortunately, if you're having a relationship with a narcissist or a borderline, it can be very damaging. I did a video that did, well for my small channel about how dating a narcissist changes you. You should check it out if you haven't. Know that narcissists and borderlines will never change. They completely feel they're entitled to treat people the way they do, and the way they treat people is by choice. I can't say that enough. The way they treat people is a conscious decision they make of their own free will, and they feel entitled to do so. So, there's several reasons why people get involved with a narcissist in the first place. Usually, as I've mentioned before, they usually target people that have been abused prior. It makes them easier targets. A lot of times abuse victims don't know how to be treated right and will, justify the behavior as, oh, I don't deserve any better, because they don't know any better. And certain people will label them as broken. I did a video about that too. So ENFJs, pay attention as always. Whenever I talk about a narcissist targeting somebody, I mean you more than anybody, because you're the number one on their list for a lot of reasons. Because you're so sweet and awesome, but also because you can't say no. Okay, people who have experienced emotional abuse before, as I said, makes you an easier target. People who have a tendency to be codependent makes you an easy target. And also it's important to note that, sex and intimacy can be addictive. Those dopamine and serotonin responses that make people crave it more. So, if you think you're sleeping with a narcissist, what are the signs of sexual narcissism? What is the point of this video? What are the signs that you should be aware of? Number one, narcissists don't have sex because they want to be intimate and feel vulnerable to somebody. It's, not like it is for INFJ men. I did a video on that too. But they want sex is just another way for them to be admired, for them to exert, control, dominance over their property. Because as I said before, the narcissist or the borderline, did a video on this too, isn't your partner, they're your master. And that's a truth you have to accept when you get involved with somebody like this, that you are not in a partnership. You are a slave. You are effectively their slave. That's how they see it. That's how they treat you. And a lot of people will enable that and not care about it. The narcissists want to be idealized, so you basically treat them, they want to be treated as if they're the best lover in the world and nobody could satisfy you the way they did. And they don't give a shit about your needs or what you're into in bed. It's all about you pleasing whatever they're into and then praising them for it and telling them how awesome they are. Narcissists are so self-centered, they're sure they're always right. They'll tell you what you're into in bed and what to do. They'll never compromise. And if you say no to something, they'll try their best to talk you into it or just force themselves on you, because you can't say no to a narcissist. They're entitled to everything. Everybody exists to serve them. Another sign you're sleeping with a narcissist is is convinced that they know better than you. So if you're trying something sexually that perhaps you, the target, have experience with and they don't, the narcissist will, and you have hesitation, the narcissist will go on and on about how they know more and you don't. You should just do what you're told, as always. Number 5. The narcissist, when it comes to sex, as with many things, they believe they know everything, been there, done it, seen it all, bigger, better, better. They don't want to hear your point of view of anything sexual, of how you feel during certain sex acts that the narcissist is all about. They don't care. It's all about how they feel, about their dominance, their control, them getting off. They don't want to hear your point of view. So if you're in a relationship and during the discussion of sex, your partner doesn't give a shit about, your point of view and what you're into, chances are you're with a narcissist. A narcissist doesn't really care about you at all. Duh. Except insofar to bolster their own self-image. Again, you're a prop. You're a prop. You're arm candy. You're a fancy bag, what have you. And they will often, brag about their sex life to their friends with you, and particularly if they're able to convince you into doing things you're not comfortable with, and particularly if you're willing to still do them or not saying no when you're clearly uncomfortable with it and upset, but they're still getting their way. I've said that before. They get off on that. Not only do they get off on that, they're going to brag about that. The more submissive you are, the more they're going to brag about how you're their toy, basically, because that's how they want it. The narcissist will always, this is number 7, the narcissist will always try to convince you that you are wrong. So whether it's speaking about something sexual or not, they're always going to convince you that you are wrong. You are not allowed to be right in their eyes. Number 8, be aware that, as I've said, you're just a prop to the narcissist. So when their sexual excitement for you is over, when they've done every depraved thing they can think of, and, exploiting you is no longer fun to them because they've effectively eliminated all of your boundaries and, made you feel like a used piece of trash, they're going to move on, as they don't care about you. It's all about them getting what they want and getting you to do things that you're not comfortable with, but doing it anyway, and them getting gratification from that and then bragging about it. So understand that you're probably in a relationship with a narcissist when, after they've crossed all your boundaries sexually, now they're no longer interested. Because a lot of people, INFJs, you people pleasers, will do things you're not comfortable with because you think you can fuck somebody into loving you, and you can't. You can't. It's sad but true. Narcissists often use sex as a pretense of emotional control for others. They like to be in control and, derive pleasure from withdrawing sex. So they'll try to get the person that they're targeting to believe that them having sex with them is truly about intimacy, when it's just about their gratification. But if the narcissist isn't getting their way, then they'll withhold sex completely to reestablish control, because it's their way or the highway, what they want, when they want it. Number 10, narcissists are rarely capable of feeling guilty. So if sexually they're doing things you're not comfortable with, and you're obviously not comfortable with it, they're not going to feel guilty about you crying or feeling used or exploited. As I said before, they're going to get off on that. So if you try to confront them, later outside of like a intimate moment and confront them about how that was wrong and they crossed your boundaries, they're not going to feel guilty about that. You exist to serve them in their eyes. Narcissists may appear briefly generous sexually. In other words, if they're really, really trying to get you to let your boundaries go, they may, for a very brief time, focus on you, but that's all a means to an end for them to convince you that, like, see, I actually do care, I really just want to get what I want, but see, you think I care and that you have a say in this. So it's a smokescreen, it's an act. Narcissists are good actors. A lot of them. A lot of narcissists become actors. When they do something wrong or hurtful, they're not going to apologize. So, as I already said, they don't feel guilt, but also most of the time, maybe not with a covert, but certainly with a borderline or an overt narcissist, you're not even going to get a fake apology out of them because they're not in the wrong in their eyes. It's like, we're dating, so your job's to be completely submissive to me. I let you be with me, the queen or the king of whatever the fuck they think they're king or queen of. Delusion is the real thing, but there's a lot of made up kings and queens when it comes to people with cluster B personalities. If narcissists were able to claim their titles, there'd be more dukes and earls and princes in Chester County than in all the UK. 13. Understand that with a narcissist, especially with a sexual relationship, it may seem exciting at first, especially if one is into taking risks and flying by the seat of your pants. But understand that when those butterflies wear off, when that sexual excitement wears off, there is no true emotional connection no matter what you're doing sexually. Sex with a narcissist will never be an expression of one's emotions towards that person. You're not going to get a soul orgasm from a narcissist like you would from like an INFJ who's most likely demisexual. It's all about their gratification. So, as I mentioned earlier, you're not going to fuck a narcissist into loving you. They're going to use you in every way they can imagine until they grow tired of you, and then they're going to kick you aside. And there's nothing you can do for them sexually that's going to be like, oh, I actually care about this person. No, not going to happen. Ever. Ever. So it's something to be aware of. I know this is, a bit of a heavy topic, so I took notes. I didn't want to miss anything because this is a topic that a lot of narcissistic abuse channels won't talk about, but it's something to be aware of. If, your sex life resembles this and you're, in a relationship with someone you think is a narcissist, here's more evidence that you probably are. So be aware about that. Remember to please like and subscribe because it doesn't cost anything. You can set up notifications, send me a tip through Venmo or Cash App or the Super Thanks button where YouTube's going to take a cut. Check out the older videos. Remember, trust your intuition. If you think someone's a sexual narcissist, they probably are, and it's best to run. And don't sell out your integrity to them thinking that they're going to fall for you because they're not. The only person a narcissist loves ever is themselves.